What it do? What it do? What it do? What's going on, everybody? How y'all out there doing this evening? Welcome to the Wednesday's edition of Real Talk for Real Men, where we keep it real, we keep it raw, and we do what we do here. I am your host, Lee Black. Good to see you on this hump day. We are traveling and trucking along. Hopefully, everybody is having a great and fantastic week. I am in good spirits today, feeling really good about myself. If this is your first time joining us, see me for the first time, I'm an opinionated SOB. I'm part of the TFG TV platform of shows, and you can find me live every Wednesday, every Sunday, right here on YouTube, as well as on Facebook. And on Wednesdays, we tackle a little bit more serious topics. And so tonight we got a good one for you guys. So welcome to the show if this is your first time. And I invite you to come on live. You're welcome here. All opinions are welcome. No opinions get shut down or stifled here. That's how we do. We keep it real. And as part of the TFG TV platform, you can find me on YouTube under TFG Uncut. Because if you got sensitive ears, this might not be the place for you. We're going to keep it honest and real and live. We're going to talk like we really talk when ain't nobody else around. But that said, let me bring in my co-host from Memphis, Tennessee. This is all the way from Tennessee, Miss Mick Mac. What's going on, Mac?
What's going on, Black? We're getting a little bit of rain right now. I know you're jealous. I'm gonna send it your way. I'm pushing it to you right now.
These meteorologist sons of bitches here in Atlanta had me pissed off because they don't know what the hell they're talking about with all of their sophisticated equipment. And in case you guys don't know, I love rain, storms, all those good things. I hate that we got summer coming. The only good thing about summer is these nasty, filthy no goods gonna have on next to nothing. So God bless them. So I'm looking
Understood.
forward to that. All right, I'm gonna try to be good. But how are you doing on this Wednesday, McMac?
I can't complain. I'm ready to have like a good, like a good conversation. I do want to add to something that you said though. These
Okay.
views are ours individually. We're not gonna take anything personally. We're gonna have an adult conversation and agree to disagree without being disagreeable. Don't take
That
it personal, people.
couldn't have said it any better. Yes, in case you don't know, the views shared on this platform belong to us and us alone. And it's not up for debate. I like what you said, Tasha. This is how we feel. But we are always going to agree to disagree without being disagreeable. And that's why I said any and everybody is welcome to the show to share your views. You don't have to be scared. We don't do embarrassment and all that kind of stuff here. We welcome, divergent opinions here. So you're probably wondering, well, what are we going to be talking about tonight? And it looks like it might just be me and you, Mick Mac, tonight. And in case y'all don't know, we ready. We ready.
Yeah.
This is what we do, you know. And so we're always ready to have this conversation, even if it's just amongst ourselves. We recognize people are busy. And so we're gonna get this thing cracking. And if we get some of the fam to join us, they'll get in where they fit in. Tasha, you can see what the topic is. And
Mhm.
I addressed this one kind of to black women, you know.
Mhm.
And the question was simply black women, maybe the black man is not the best choice anymore. How did I come to this? We always talk about black love and how beautiful it is. Now, clearly, I am a black man through and through. Own it, wear it with every day, and I'm very, very proud. Before I even go a little further, Tasha, you share with the public what you want, how you identify. How do you self-identify when it comes to race and ethnicity?
I'm mixed. I tell everybody I'm mixed. I'm half white, half black. It took both sides to bring me here.
No, so I'm fantastic. My brother Kenny say Kenny, let me invite you, my brother. I was almost positive I sent you the link, but I definitely want to have my brother Kenny on. So bear with me, folks, because I got to have my brother on. But Tasha, as I'm sending this to him, you know, give a little more details. You say you're mixed, so
Mhm.
dad is what?
My dad is black like Wesley Snipes, Eddie Murphy black. My mom is white, red hair, green eyes, couldn't be looking any more opposite. My stepmom, who my dad is currently married to, she's white as well. My mother is married, it has remarried to a black man as well, my stepdad, Jojo. So the whole interracial relationship thing is something I'm very, very familiar with. I have an uncle who's been with his wife for shit, maybe over 30 years, I think. I don't know. They've been together for a long time and she's white. So it's something that goes throughout our family.
I love it. I love it. I am so looking forward to your views because you're going to be able to share views from both sides of this coin,
Mhm.
especially with your mom being white and her being married to both your parents are actually married to, so it's going to be interesting. Brother Kenny, I hope you got that link. I did send it early. I just sent it again. Definitely come on, my brother. Welcome you to the conversation. Brother Joseph, we've been missing you, man. Evening. How you doing, my brother? And also, Joseph, I feel like I can say he's also in an interracial relationship. And so I came across this subject because again, there was a recent op-ed published in the New York Post, and it was actually entitled "Why More Black Women Should Consider Marrying White Men." And this article was written by a Harvard law professor by the name of Ralph Richard Banks, and he is a black man. This is a black man who is a Harvard law professor, and he wrote an article why more black women should consider marrying white men. Now, of course, this is his opinion, but it sparked a lot of good conversation. And he was basing this piece on recent examples we see of mixed marriages when we think about Kamala Harris, who happens to be our vice president. We think about Ketanji Brown Jackson, who was recently elected to the Supreme Court. Now, obviously, both of these are black women. They can clearly identify as black women, but they're married to white men. And in this article, the professor, his rationale was that the effects of racism have left black women who tend to be way more educated as a group as opposed to black men. It's left them only a small segment of black male partners who are comparable. Now, on this face value, Tasha, what do you think about that?
I guess if you're just going to consider the numbers, that's, I think it's interesting if, because a lot of that seems to be heavily based upon education wise from that statement. Because it says if it, with black women being as, the most educated, it's only left with them with a handful or a comparable amount of black men. Seems like it's a lot more educationally based. And we know that with relationships, it's a lot deeper than that.
I love that you
So
said that.
I want to see where this is going to go, where this is going to lead to, what additional things they're saying is comparable to make such a statement.
And we're going there. We're going to examine 4 aspects of why this Harvard law professor actually feels this way. Welcome, sis. This is Sherry from New York City. What's going on, sis?
Hi, everybody. What's up, Tasha?
Hey,
Yes,
Sherry.
yes, sir. And then we got brother Kenny popping in. Perfect timing. What's going on, my brother? All the way from Texas.
What's
Nexus
going
from
on?
Texas.
Hey,
What's going
Ken.
on? Hey, what's up, people? How you all
Yeah,
doing?
we're doing
Doing
pretty
good.
good today. You
Good,
guys
good.
came into right in the meat of this conversation. So let me bring you up to speed. Obviously, you can see the topic, that's floating across the bottom of the screen. This topic is black women. Maybe the black man is not the best choice anymore. And this is based off of, I'm basing this particular episode off of an article, op-ed that was written, recently by a Harvard law professor in the New York Post. The article was entitled, "Why More Black Women Should Consider Marrying White Men." Now, again, it was written by a Harvard law professor named Ralph Richard Banks, and he happens to be a black man.
That's
And
what I was
in
going to
the
ask. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to give you all the information. And in this piece, he gave the examples of Kamala Harris and Ketanji Brown Jackson as the reason what he's basing this article on. For the audience that may not know, Kamala Harris is obviously our vice president, the first woman of color, vice president, and Ketanji Brown Jackson, recently elected to the Supreme Court. Both are powerful, smart, dynamic Black women who happen to be married to white men. And in the article, he goes on to examine 4 areas as his area of rationale, but he talks about the effects of racism and how it has left a Black woman who tends to be way more educated as a group as opposed to Black men, that has left them only a small segment of the Black male partners who are comparable. And so we're going to examine these 4 areas. So we talked about that, and Tasha brought up some good points. So let's talk about, the first aspect of this dynamic, to whether Black women should really start to look past Black men. So let's talk about the education and wealth gap. Now, before I even go into it, what do you guys think about that when you just see that topic? What do you think? And we're looking at it from the perspective of the Black woman moving past Black men. When you see that as a reason why a Black woman should move past the Black man and start to look at white men in particular, what do you guys think about the education and wealth gap? How much does that matter?
Well, as I told y'all before, I never dated outside my race. And I have seen white men that was attractive to me, you know what I'm saying? But I never really thought about it. My daughter have dated outside her race. And, me coming from hearing the stories of, my mother and them from the South, I used to have feel away. But honestly, right now, I changed my thinking on that.
Mm.
I would date a white man. And I think a lot of most sisters should try dating, outside their race, a white man. And at the education part, uh, it carries a lot for me, because a lot of things of what I see out here with our own brothers. I mean, me personally, let's put. I'm from New York, but I got a little ratchetness in me. I ain't got no time for the shit that they be. I can't, a numbskull. I can't deal with that. You gotta have some kind of education and be able to articulate in a way how you carry yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it would be a good thing for
Okay,
people.
and before you answer, Tasha or Kenny, I want to share some statistics and some information with you as you let this marinate. And before I do that, Joseph says public schools has nothing on private school. And that he's going to put his kids in private school. Education is night and day. Okay, that's interesting. But we're not debating whether public or private school.
Private.
We're not talking about that part of it. But I want to share some information with you. Among Black students in higher education, women are more likely than men to earn degrees. Well, first of all, will we all agree with that or disagree? Anybody disagree with that?
No, I agree.
Okay. So that part we agree. Black women get 64.1% of bachelor's degrees, 71.5% of master's degrees, and 65.9% of doctoral, medical, and dental degrees. Given to you again. So when we're looking at the Black population, just specifically amongst African Americans, Blacks, and of that dynamic, Black women earn 64.1% of the bachelor's degrees. You do the math. You do the math. So men, we're only talking about us having 36%. 64, 34 for bachelor's degree. As we go up the ladder, Black women get 71.5% of a master's degree. That means as a Black man, we fall into what?
29%.
Bingo. And then when you're talking about the doctoral degrees, Black women get 65.9% of doctoral, medical, and dental degrees.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Those are some staggering numbers.
They, yeah.
And
And
go ahead,
I
Kenny.
agree. Those are, and I'm not surprised by any of that. I just think that as a whole, Black women view education as more of important. Is on a priority list. They put those degrees is very high, especially now. This generation of women now. So I can see the education and wealth gap because I mean the thing is Black women are getting their degrees at a higher rate and they're making money and they're making moves. So they're going to be in an environment where they want to feel that they have a partner that's comparable to them in that whatever environment they may so choose. So at this point, Black men, we're not getting those degrees like that. And so I can see why Black women may decide or are deciding, it ain't may, they are, and they should look at opening up their horizons
I,
and
I,
not
I
just
love
settling on one
I
on
love how
Black
you
men.
presented it
So
because I live by a simple saying, and that's why I wanted to give that information to you guys. And Tasha, I'm holding you for last for a reason. Because men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. And those are the numbers, so I want to put that out there. But Tasha, I'm holding you last for a reason. For a reason. Joseph said maybe because more men are into trade schools compared to degrees. Very good point,
that's a
Joseph.
good point.
Very
Yeah.
good point. Very good point. And then Hannah, how you doing,
Hey, what's
sweetheart?
up, Hannah?
I sent you and Brother Bert a link as well. Y'all more than welcome to come on. But Tasha, I kept you for last because if in case the viewers missed the first beginning of the show, Tasha identifies as mixed. Her
Yes.
father is African American, her mother is white. What
Yes.
makes this dynamic even more special is her parents, they split and they remarried in a mixed marriage.
Oh,
Yes.
that's interesting. Okay.
Now, let's add another layer to it. As a mixed woman, Tasha has a master's degree.
Yes.
So, Tasha, I want to, before you comment on this about the education and wealth gap, the article talks about those statistics and it says that Black men are less likely than Black women to have completed high school. And a lot fewer Black men go to complete a 4-year college degree, as we both just talked about. And he talks about in the article how this has created this education and wealth gap that may disadvantage Black women in their relationships with Black men. What do you say to this?
I will say this. There's so much, first of all, there's like so much going on in my head right now.
No.
Let me say this because, technically people would say that my stepmom married down because she has her master's degree. My dad never graduated from college.
Wow.
He attended, but he made like a lot of us. So he had to jump right into his career. But I was okay. As far as the educational and the wage gap, yeah. But I'm gonna take it all the way back.
Sherry, can you turn your TV down a little bit?
I'm gonna take it all the way back to as being in households to where the Black men, the young Black children, are not pushed as much in education as the women are. Where the young Black girls are forced to be more independent. The mothers do tend to shield the sons a little bit more. So I would look at like just the expectations among the two, where the Black mother may be willing to overlook a son not doing so well, not performing so well in school, but will tell her Black daughter, you need to go get an education. You need to go do this because you don't need to be dependent on no man. Now, again, for this topic, the educational and the wage gap, yes, it has been, one of those things that it's been that story that in the past that we were told to get your education, get your 4-year degree, because that will put you on a path to overall earn more money as you get older. But we know that now it's not even being shown that that's not even a reality anymore. You have to have like a higher level education. You have to have at least a master's degree now in order for that to even really propel you forward. and if we're just using this, again, the educational and the wealth gap as a reason, to encourage people to date, well, to encourage Black women to date more white men, again, that's the dangerous statement there.
Okay.
Because again, you're putting a lot of emphasis on on material things, so to speak, and really overlooking that it takes so much more than that to be a good person. Where yes, if someone is in the trades, whatever that they decide to do, even if they're working by hands, they still can make a lot of money. It may not be at the rate and as quickly as the woman wants them to, but they can still have a very successful future.
I
So.
love
That's a great.
everything you talked about there.
That's a great answer.
You really brought a lot to that answer right there. And I'll even start at the end part. Joseph said the pandemic showed him that a trade is more important than a degree.
That's so true.
You know, and
That's
so
so true.
I work in education, and I'm sitting here the product of a traditional education, which put me $100,000 in student loan debt. And now we're finding out that there are different paths for people to take, you know, and now I work for, you know, a school where the emphasis on boot camps and certification programs and things like that. So to Joseph's point, I think we have to stop overlooking men who work in trades, you know,
The blue collar brothers,
our mechanics,
the blue
you know, our
brothers.
electricians, our plumbers, our garbage men, even, you know what I'm saying?
The construction people,
construction worker.
I don't mean to cut you off, Black,
No.
but I have an uncle. This isn't the other uncle that's, you know, married to a white woman, but my uncles, now that I think of it, my dad and my uncles, they're all in work that requires them to be more hands-on. My uncle has been working like construction, like at a steel mill and stuff,
right,
for years. After he finished high school, he decided not to go on to college because he wanted to help my grandmother like with her bills. My uncle is very successful. People don't know how, if you looked at him, you listened to him, you saw where he lived, you would not think he has as much money as he does, but he has a good amount of money and is often overlooked because of that.
And that's why I love that you added that you have to be careful, because this could be a very slippery slope for my sisters. And that's why to this article where it says for Black women, maybe Black men, it's maybe time to look past them. And if we're looking just at the education and wealth gap, Brother Kenny, you said something earlier. Black women do place a lot more emphasis on education, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's important.
Right.
My sister just said she's not going to buy by a knucklehead, you know, and so I love that part of it. I believe speak for Tasha. She doesn't want a dumb man. I love that a woman, and a Black woman, wants some intelligence. I love that part of it. The second part is where the wealth gap part that we want to focus on, and be careful that we're not looking past that. And I'm gonna add the last element to it. You want to be careful of that, because there's a term called gold diggers, you know, that comes into play. And there's a social media experiment that's been going on for quite a while, and it really shows Black women in such a harsh light, because this young man, he has the beautiful car, the sports car, and he literally goes up to a woman on the street and asks the simple question of, hey, can I get to know you, blah, blah, blah. And 9 times out of 10, she blows him off, you know, and in that quick exchange, then he turns and hits then all of a sudden, the light bulb goes off. So I do want my sisters to be careful, because if it's just the material things that you start to zero and focus on, that don't necessarily lead to happiness. You know what I'm saying? Being a gold digger, it might get you some temporary satisfaction, but is it going to lead to lasting happiness and a solid relationship? So let's go to the second.
And
area.
let me see this
please,
real
go
quick,
ahead.
Black. The only thing about the education part, and that's cool, but just because you flash a degree and you got a doctorate and stuff, that, I mean, okay, that's all well and fine. But I know a bunch of intelligent brothers and bunch of intelligent black men that don't carry a degree.
Absolutely.
So just because a guy has a degree doesn't necessarily mean he's intelligent either. It just means that he was able to he was able to complete a curriculum and earn that degree. That's really all that means.
I can co-sign on that. I've sat in class with people who are walking around right now with a degree, can't put together a PowerPoint presentation, and they're dumbasses.
And
You
can't
know,
add either, but that's
Right.
neither
you
here
know,
nor there.
and they have a degree. And they have, and some of them I know got master's degrees.
Yep.
Now, I myself, I have a master's degree, and I just happen to be truly intelligent. I really am truly intelligent. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but I put into it what I got out of it. I
Mhm.
was that student that read every lesson. And so when I came to class, I really was prepared. I do a dynamic PowerPoint presentation. I've gotten as far as I've gotten in life because not because I'm cute and sexy, I'm that too, but I am very intelligent. And that has gotten me through those doors, so education, but
Yeah.
then I'll say this last part. True education, I've always said this statement, is realizing how much you don't know. And that's
Mm.
why I've never used education as a weapon. I don't walk around and tout it because of what you said, Brother Kenny. Intelligence is intelligence, you know.
Right.
So absolutely. But let's go to the second thing, Black women are least likely to get married and most likely to be divorced. Let me repeat that. Black women are least likely to get married and most likely to be divorced. And let me tell you what they're basing this on. there is there is a site called blackdemographics.com, and it published this fact in 2019. So we only talked a couple of years ago. Only 30% of African Americans were married compared to 48% of all Americans. Let me repeat that. Only 30% of African Americans were married compared to 48% of all Americans. Half or 50% of African Americans have never been married compared to 34% of all Americans. And so after viewing the available data, we can conclude that fewer Black women are now married. More Black women than Black men have been married at least once. And this is because a higher percentage of Black women are divorced and widowed than men. Also, in 2019, just under half or 48% of Black women had never been married. So think about those statistics. So when you look at pretty much all demographics across the board in America, only 34% of Americans have never been married, whereas 50% of African Americans have never been married. What do you guys think about this one right here?
That's a again, like you said earlier, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. It definitely is. It shows you that most Black women either they marry once and divorce, or they know they don't marry at all. Uh, that's pretty much it. I would say, I'm just thinking of a lot of my Black women that I know as friends and cousins and sisters. I would say the majority of the Black women that I know, they've been only once, and they've divorced, most of them. So it's I can see why this article for Black women is really, I can see why this is leading down that road where, okay, Black women, you might need to be more open to looking at other possibilities. I can see why, because those numbers are staggering.
Absolutely. Sherry and Tasha, before you chime in on here, I'm going to give you a little more to chew on. In some states like California, it says that the dating pool in the Black community is as shallow as the water drought. Blacks only make up about 6% of the population, and with the majority of those being located in Northern California. When you subtract women, those Black men who are married, incarcerated, uneducated, unemployable, distant, or homosexual, you begin to see how limited that choice can be within that 6%.
Wow, that's crazy. That's
Numbers Don't lie. Tasha and Sherry, what do you have to say? So just think about Black women in California. We just use that as one area. And I've been saying this for a long time. We as Black people, we tend to sometimes act like we're everywhere and
And we're
all
not.
across the night. And we are really,
You're
really
so
not.
right. We're not.
We are, I don't know the right words you want to say. We're congregated in really probably about a dozen states, maybe 15,
Maybe.
you know.
Yeah.
And even in some of those states, like we talk about this statistic in California, it's really housed in one area. I live in Georgia. Don't get it twisted. Atlanta is Black. It's Chocolate City. Georgia ain't.
Mhm.
Atlanta is. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But when you get to certain states, even where there is a strong Black population where your ass might be, that don't mean the state is like
Right.
that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
what do you think about this, Tasha and Sherry? About the numbers leading to, like Kenny said, down that road of thinking, you know what? Maybe it is time for me to look outside. And I'm gonna read that again. When you subtract women from that small 6%, this is just using one area, but we could do this, we could probably do the numbers in any state, you know. When you subtract the women out of that 6% in California, the Black men who are married, incarcerated, uneducated, unemployable, long distance, or homosexual, now you got to pull out of that 6%. Where does that leave Black women if they want to be in a stable, committed relationship and be married? Where does that leave them?
Well, if they choose to stay in those areas, then you're absolutely going to have to, be honest with yourself and look into other communities. However, if you're just determined to, to marry Black and to produce Black and go forward, then of course you would have to leave. But again, each area is going to have their own, like demographic and things.
Yep.
But it's really interesting though. They're least likely to get married. Is that just to Black men, or is that in general?
In
And
general.
Yeah, I think it's in general.
In
Yeah.
general.
And
Which
then
which is I was going to ask you two Black women, why do you think that is in 2022? Because Brother Kenny said it, when you look at how many Black female friends we have, why do y'all think so many Black women either never marry, or if they did it once, they're like, I ain't doing that shit again?
I do think it does go back to the mindset that's just instilled in you. I do, and how you're raised and what is being said to you and touted to you over the years, or what the examples are that you see. I could, if in your family you've never seen anyone be happily married, or in a committed marriage, not relationship, marriage.
Bingo.
Right.
Then it's hard for you to truly understand and to imagine that for yourself. And then, of course, you still have a lot of like the things that are being told to you. Don't depend on no man. And if he does this, he's going to try to change you. Don't let him change you. My cousin, she said something to my grandmother and to my aunt that I understood what she was saying, but she shouldn't have said it. She told, she got married to a guy who was like no good for her. And she told him that she did it, she got pregnant because she didn't want to be like them.
Ooh.
It was harsh.
Ooh.
It was to her mother and to, to my grandmother. It was harsh, but I understood what she meant by it.
Right. I can relate to that. And Sherry, I want you to speak on this, because even in our family, you touched on so many good points, Tasha. It's how you're raised and what you view and what you see, because this is real talk. We're gonna keep it real. My mother, her first husband, she married. Sherry is the keeper of family records better than I am. She married her first husband, Sherry, when she was how old?
Audio.
Hold on, sis. I'm sorry, sis. I'm trying to unmute you. You got to unmute yourself. We can't hear you. Okay, Sherry.
Can you?
Yeah. Our mother, who's 86
Oh,
years old right now, she got married at what age?
14.
She got married at 14, and if I'm not mistaken, her husband was much older than her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
this was my mother's one and only marriage. But that was in Mississippi, and then she moved to New York. And with me and Sherry growing up, she dated a man for well over 30 years, correct, Sherry?
Correct.
But they were never married. And when he died, this is a whole nother conversation, but she was entitled to no benefits whatsoever because she wasn't his wife. I have a sister who's in a very same boat, was with her husband for 30 some years. When he died, all his benefits went to his wife. Their daughter is living with somebody now, not even close to thinking about getting married. So, Tasha, to your point, how you're raised, what you observe, what you see, it could become very much what becomes par for the course, you know, and that's just becomes the norm because again, maybe the message being passed on to Black women is something we need to look at. So, Sherry, what do you think about this fact that for many Black women, the numbers just are not in your favor?
They not, and I agree with everything Tasha said. And Tasha, you're right. It got a lot to do with you growing up. But you know, even though my mother married so young and she never married again, I used to want everything that she didn't in a different way. But she used to always tell me, you know, you why men think like why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free?
Woo!
So that used to stick in my head when I was young. And in my mind, I was used to say, I ain't gonna be giving my milk away because they ain't for free. You understand? So I wanted the married life. You know what I'm saying? And I was married young. You understand? And been married all this time. You understand? And it's so I think a lot of my friends and women's here in New York, I can speak for. They don't seem to even be thinking about marriage. It's not even something that's important to them. You
I want to
understand? But
and I want to ask you something because of your personal experience with that, because I've heard you say this on this show. You said if you had to do it all over again,
I wouldn't get married again.
Oh
And the
wow.
reason why I wouldn't get married again is because for me, it's too much work. It's a lot of work to stay married. You
so
understand?
and so I bring that up because you have a daughter. You have a daughter, and what she's witnessed in that marriage, and you wonder how much of that goes into her decision ultimately to whether or not she would choose to marry. You know, which telling a little bit
It
of
will
her,
have a toll on.
which telling a little bit of her business. She's dating interracially.
Yeah. And
Okay. I wish
she
we
was
would have had her
afraid
on the
to,
show. I wish she would have came on the
Right,
show
right.
for real. Because I
yeah,
want to hear her
she was
perspective.
afraid to tell me
Hmm.
when she first, about her boyfriend because she thought that I was harsh on, what I'm saying? But what she learned about me is that if he make her happy, I'm happy for her. You understand? She talks to me about marriage, so I know she wants to be married.
Okay.
You understand? But she also know she know what she don't want and what she ain't
But
taking.
I want to stop on that last point because I think that's important to note that you made her understand that her happiness, regardless of who she chooses, is the most important thing to you. Because how
Hmm.
many people out there probably would be willing to go there, but if not, that so how
Right.
many women are? I'm gonna stick with this black love thing because I don't want to bring in an outsider because they may not be accepted. So this is maybe another way to look at that question again. Black women, maybe, and I'm not telling anybody what to do.
Right.
I'm just putting it all out there. Joseph asked made an interesting question. He said, "What are those numbers looking like on a global scale?" You know, well, I
Well,
think
that's
Joseph, when we start to look at that, you know, we can't. I don't think we can really. It wouldn't be fair to
right.
go
It
that
would be
because again,
right.
when you start talking about Africans and
Then right.
so we're specifically
That
going to stick with African Americans in this
right.
instance because those damn people got a whole lot of extra problems that got nothing to do with nothing else. You
Can
know,
I
they
ask can I ask Sherry one question real quick back?
sure. Mhm.
Sherry, did your daughter say why she decided to date interracial? Did she tell you why she decided to try it?
Well, yeah, she because I asked her. She said what she didn't like about dating our own African American men was, she said every time she would date somebody, she said what she didn't like is that they didn't have a plan when it came to her.
Mm.
She said something simple as, let's say it's Valentine's Day. Her
I've heard her
boyfriend she
talk
had
about this.
prior would get her all dressed and say, okay, we're gonna go out, and then when she get over to his house, it's okay. What we gonna do? He never had a plan,
And I want you
and
to stop
that
right
could,
there. I want you to stop right there because we're going to come to that part of this equation on the article as well, because I've heard her talk about that, which leads me to the final point I want to say about this, about the numbers and how it's so not in the woman's favor because it goes on to talk about the disparity between the number of Black women to men in African American communities nationwide. And you can blame that on mass incarceration, homosexuality, whatever you want to blame it on. But in many cases, the reports estimates there are 7 available Black women to 1 man.
I,
Mm.
I'll just say this and just really quick, like to Joseph's point, if you wanted to look at it globally, you have to look at culturally first. Culturally, it's not taught, to get married, so to speak. You have it coming up more and more now, because it is a topic of conversation, and a lot of podcasts for Black love, so to speak.
Right.
But if you're talking about Africa specifically, there are full cultures that are about raising women to be wives,
Wise.
and it
Exactly.
starts
Right.
them younger.
Yeah.
Culturally, here in America, that's dead. It's
Right.
seen that way, and because again, it's taught to be independent.
Right. I agree,
Absolutely.
Tasha. Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Which I want to go to this other quick point, and again, I want to keep in mind what Sherry said her daughter's reason was for dating outside the race, because she found that a lot of the African American men didn't have a plan for her. All right, but let's talk about the deconstruction of the Black family unit and how, again, this is a Harvard law professor, and he brought up some interesting points about this as reasons why Black women need to really consider white men. He talked about how when individuals speak about diversifying or dating interracially, one always must question the narrative. The Black family unit is almost non-existent as it is, he pointed out. But some of these opinions are obviously coming from within the Black community. Black Lives Matter even called for the deconstruction of the family unit, which I thought was an interesting point. And so, who's to say whether someone should marry in or outside of their own race? People marry who they are attracted to and compatible with. Yes, race can be a basis for compatibility. Some Blacks are only attracted to other Blacks, and that's natural. Some Black women feel like they can only love a Black man, and he said that's okay too.
Mm.
But what do you guys think about this part about, again, where we started about the keeping a Black family unit together? And I love the fact that even the Black Lives Matter call for the deconstruction of the Black family unit.
Mm. Well, I hate the word deconstruction because basically you're saying let's rip it down, let's rip it apart, and
Okay.
and leave it at that. To
Okay.
me, so I don't like that term because I think the Black family needs to be reconstructed,
Ooh, I
and
like that. I like that.
in whatever way we can do that. But that's on our Black community. But that's a whole nother topic that ain't even got nothing to do with this subject. But the deconstruction of the Black, I mean, let's be honest with you. That's probably one of the reasons why Black women don't have HO. I mean, the pickings are slim. I mean, we can go back to the 70s, the 60s area, with the housing, the housing, all that stuff, the ghettos, all that totally created it where the Black family was totally deconstructed, and then women became able to be They be to work to get degrees in this. So that of all the races, the women's lib era hurt the black family worse than any other race.
Wow.
In
Wow.
my opinion.
Wow. Wow. Tasha, what do you have to say on this?
I agree with Kenny. I don't think it should be the deconstruction of the family unit. I think of structurally, organizationally, when you hear businesses saying that we're reorganizing, we're restructuring, it was
Right.
the restructuring of the Black
Right.
family unit,
Right.
making the woman, the matriarchy, the head of the household, as less and less Black men were in the households. But I could say, and this may not go over well with some women, but I'm going to say it this way. And it's something that I think is very interesting and to me kind of stands out. I think a lot of times for some Black women being so hard on Black men, I think it's because they never received the love of the first Black man, which was their father. They never had those expectations set, or the expectations that were set were so wrong. There was sexual abuse, or like different things that may have been forced upon them, or that they experienced, and it kind of traumatized them to where they never got over it. But and again, it started that whole thing about being independent, not relying on a man, or just simply just being let down because the man didn't have a plan, or he didn't have the plan that you wanted him to have.
I love what you had to say, and I'm going there. What's up, brother Kennard? How you
What's up,
doing?
Kennard? What's up, fam?
So you made brilliant points. Absolutely. And Kenny, I love your point about the word itself. But here's where I did embrace it. And I always tell people this. As I'm reading this is the very first time I'm seeing this. I'm reading it. When I put together the show, I only put the header in there. I never read the information ahead of time. I like having my exposure to this opinion just as fresh as yours. So this is not something, oh my God, I read that. So this is my first time, I saw the topic, I plugged in, and I don't read the other part until I do it here live. Here's where I'm going to embrace the word, the deconstruction of the Black family, because I think there's some merit to that. When I look at the problems we have between us as men and women, Black women, I think there really has been an organized deconstruction, a tearing down. And in many cases, I see it intentional
Yeah,
happening.
I agree.
Just on the show we did Monday, I brought up a tweet that
Tashina Arnold.
Tashina Arnold put out there.
Right.
She asked what I thought was a relatively harmless question, and she got slaughtered by Black Twitter, and it turned into a free-for-all between Black men and Black women, and how we treat Black women, and how come they got to uphold us up, and this and that. So I do think in some cases there is an intentional deconstructing, a tearing down of one another. Notice what I'm saying, because we do it to women too.
Right. I
Black
agree.
men do it to women too.
I agree.
And I think in many cases, that's why I called my segment that night "Divided." You know what I'm saying? Because we are such at each other's throat in so many ways until we can't reconstruct or reorganize, because we in many cases see each other as we're against each other. You know what I'm saying? And I think that truly hurts us in many ways. And that, I think, kind of propels this argument that this Harvard law professor might say, well, maybe we didn't look outside because, he ain't good enough for you, And so when we think about, the messaging that's being presented to us, especially on social media and all these different sites, it's hard. We're swimming upstream against each other. And it becomes some kind of way embedded in us to not even have to look at one another as potential mates, because how many of us already know that the Black man is viewed as lazy, dumb? We're not we talked about earlier that if we're not professional, he ain't worth even looking at. You know what I'm saying? And then for us as men, how many of us, it's being inbred in us that we see women as gold diggers, or stuck up, because she want to get her education, you know, or all those other negative stereotypes. So we have to kind of look at that, you know what I'm saying? So that, I think that's a big part of it. Kennard, you're right. The perception that mothers pain, but how many households where that there aren't two parents anymore? And so what's the messaging there when kids are being raised by, nanas and aunties and things like that, which is steadily adding to a lot of the confusion. Go ahead, Tasha.
I just wanted to add this to it because you say that. So I have a cousin, like one of my cousins, she's mixed as well, the same way I am. Her father is black, her mother is white, but she was raised by her grandmother
Mm-hmm.
because of I recently asked my grandmother this too, like why wasn't she raised like with her parents? And it was because her mother didn't want her. Went through the pregnancy, but didn't want her. And her father was in no position to, like raise her.
Mm-hmm.
So her grandmother, my great aunt, is, that's she
Mm-hmm.
considers that like her mother. But
Right.
she and I couldn't be any more different. But
Right.
it's
Right.
very
Right.
interesting.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Well,
And so,
see, in these times, right now, especially, a lot of black women they tear themselves down. Being honest with you, with a lot of things that I be seeing, especially on social media and all that, some of them live for that, and all this twerking around and different stuff that they be doing and things that they wear. How can some black men respect you with a lot of the things that you carrying on with out here?
so I don't
But
disagree with that. So I don't disagree with that, sis. And that's why I said it goes both ways because we're not going to say that that's not exclusive just to. You're right. I can see it as a black man, and I don't want that, but I can make that same argument for how my brothers carry themselves too, though, sis.
well, that's true.
With the slagging pants, you know what I'm saying? The dumb shit that we do as men. And so, to your point, there are things that we do again that make each other not as attractive as we should be.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I want to get to my last point because you brought up your daughter and her reasons for dating outside of her race, because she said a lot of black men didn't have a plan for her. So this is the final step. Do white men love and financially support black women better than black men? And we started out by talking about Kamala Harris and Ketanji Brown. And so this was the last interesting dynamic because this talked about, according to the National Bureau of Economic Research, Black Americans experience dramatically lower upward mobility than white Americans do. Black Americans experience dramatically lower upward mobility than white Americans do. To that point, is marrying a white male counterpart the answer? Is that the answer? Because when we look at generational disadvantages, that are, inherent in being black, where you're born geographically, things like that, to marry outside of your race, where, as Cheris put it, that maybe this person has more of a plan, because I don't think any of us could deny that white men earn more than black men. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And then when you add to the fact that Forbes in 2020 just came out with this interesting statistic that black women are the fastest growing entrepreneurs.
Mm.
Black women are the fastest growing entrepreneurs. And so when we think about this, when we think about how interracial marriages, the rates continue to rise, I'm asking the question, don't shoot the messenger. Do white men love and support financially black women better than black men do?
I don't agree with that. I think we support differently. I would say
Okay.
we support differently. I think again, you as a whole, you're right. White men do make more money on average than black men, But I think if you look at a lot of the successful black couples, and the woman, the wives are successful, I think you would say the black men have supported their black women. It's just as good as a white man supports his white woman, whatever it is. So I just think they do it differently. And I think, unfortunately, though, we get these images in this media, some of the images that we see on television and in the media and on social, internet, it will make you think that white men do better by black women as a whole. But sometimes those images aren't necessarily correct either. So
I won't disagree with you there, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate. In many ways that it's unfortunate, but I see it far too often. I do far too often see a lot of black men when they see a woman, that their black woman counterpart trying to be upwardly mobile, feel threatened
well,
and
see,
want to.
yeah, and that's a different type of black man, though. See,
You,
but
I,
but
that,
but it's white men that feel that
no,
same
no,
way.
I
So
agree.
so
But
so I don't want it to make it seem like
no,
black
no, no.
men.
But I'm only
Okay.
talking about what I see.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm not saying exclusively that what I think men in general, it's probably feel uncomfortable.
Right.
But I am talking about real examples of where I do see a black woman wanting more, being ambitious, and I see where the black men in many cases, feel threatened. He don't want her to get an education. Think right before I started this show, my sister and I was talking about one of our somebody we love, and that this person was on an upward mobility, and he stripped her of all of that. He took it all away. He was threatened, by her. And so too many times black women are made to feel inferior, and this is now mind you, this is the mark of a coward, that he destroyed her self-confidence and all of those things because he wanted her to feel less than because of where he is. Now, I agree with you, Brother Kenny. I think lots of men do that. I don't care what race you are, but the images, you're right, of what we see that far too often. We see that far too often. Tasha, you want to add anything to this?
I do. I think for this topic, I hate this question. I hate whichever way you want to verse it. I hate the question because it's extremely subjective.
Right.
So, and I'll say this, with the fight, the struggle that is going on between black men and black women, especially with the red pill community and some of those mindsets, temperaments, those behaviors that are being put out there, it can, especially nowadays, it can make it seem like being with a white man may be a better option. And I have seen where black women have said it's better because they let you be your authentic self and they don't feel threatened. I would challenge it by saying this. Are you acting the exact same way with a white
Beautiful
counterpart
point. Beautiful
that
point.
you do with a black man? I would,
Beautiful point.
But for me, let's just I'm sorry. Let's just strip it away to what its core is people are going to love you differently. How Kenny may love a woman is going to be different from how black loves a woman and your expectations for her as well.
Right.
It's what you require. It's what you're demanding in that relationship. And I do think that it's dangerous and it's so easy to get caught up into what those messages are being forced at you, forced upon you now, where it's almost like it always wants everyone to be at each other's throat, or it always wants to create an issue. Don't fall for it in social media. Find what you want. Find who you love and who compliments you and who is best for you. I think about how I was raised. My dad, my stepmom, my mom, my stepdad, they've never said, find you a black man and settle down. Find you a white man. They've never said that. Find you someone who loves you and is going to treat you well. I don't care who it is. Now, I'm pretty sure it has to be a man. I think that's what they were getting at. But
I love it. I love it. Mr. TFG himself, Lamar Falk, chimed in at the end. He said, black men are still trying to prove themselves. It's harder to watch out winds speed past us. It's harder to watch out winds speed past us. I'm not sure if I get that part. Whereas white men aren't trying to prove nothing. Whites are better support in that way, in my opinion. Interesting
Hmm.
point. I don't necessarily agree with that, brother
Yeah.
Lamar.
I don't think I agree with
But
that, but that's cool. That's
interesting
a different
point,
perspective. That's a different
because
perspective.
it's a definitely different perspective, and I'm gonna say it just on what Tasha says. You know, uh, I think it depends on who you with. So I think any man, with the women, trying to prove himself in some ways. And I think we do tend to act differently with different people. Tasha brought up a very,
Mhm.
very good point. It's amazing how I can date somebody and she can be, just this demure and all this stuff, and then she go with somebody else and be a very different person. A lot of times when they get to me and they demure, I turn them into nasty 50 no good hoes, and so that's just a whole
Oh,
nother thing.
here we
So
go.
it depends on who you with. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So anyway, Tasha, you ended it on a very, very smart
Oh
note.
man,
It's very subjective.
this
It's very
topic is
subjective.
this topic is heavy and need to be talked
It
about more
is.
often.
And,
For
and, and
real.
that's why I said I knew I couldn't do it in any justice in 1 hour, and we didn't intend to come up with all the answers, but I wanted to bring it to the table
Yeah.
because it is something worth talking about, and which is lead me to the conversation I hope to have next Wednesday. I talked about Tashina Arnold, and I am going to invite Brother Brenton Haynes to this conversation and Sister Devin to this conversation, because the question that Tashina asked was simple, about she talked about in her Twitter, and we want to examine it from a different angle, that how can Black women be more supportive, in those areas. So where they took it in all of its negative connotations, I am going to hopefully have a bigger panel, to bring on, and we're going to discuss it. And again, we don't purport to have all the answers, but we're going to put the topic on the table. That's for damn sure.
Right.
Can I say this too?
Sure.
And can we just put an end to certain sayings, like every time something goes wrong in somebody's life, it's because they're dating or with someone of the opposite race? Can we just stop, saying, well, that's what you get for fucking with that white bitch or that white man? Let's just stop saying that, okay? Let's just say it's just based on
Right.
just bad decisions, okay?
I agree with that.
I'm with you there. I'm with you there. You're getting the
Mhm.
argument there. I'm with you there. So anyway, that brings us to a close for this particular show. I hope you guys have been enjoyed as much as I have. And I just so happen to have the greatest voice in social media on the show, Mr. Kenny, that can give you a full rundown of, if you enjoy this content, where you can find us at. Brother Kenny, take us away.
Please do. Please do. If you enjoy this show, and I know you do, make sure you subscribe to the channel TFG Uncut, TFG Ratchet on YouTube, and follow it on Facebook. This is where you can find Real Talk for Real Men with Lee Black and with Tasha on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and on Sundays at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you do that. Then on Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. on the TFG Forgive Us Later channel on YouTube, you can find the brothers, Charles Moore, DJ Sullivan, and that guy that you see over in the comments, Lamar Falk, Lamb Levity, at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow. So check them out tomorrow. They're going to give you a perspective from a male perspective on whatever's going on in the world of entertainment, sports, and politics. So that's Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. on TFG Forgive Us Later. On Friday nights, you can catch again. This is the hardest working man in show business. I call him the Black Robin Leach, the real estate insider. He goes live on Friday nights at 8 p.m. and he's giving you the tours of some of the best homes that celebrities have moved in, have moved out, or have been foreclosed on. So make sure you check him out on Friday nights at 8 p.m. on the TFC Real Estate Insider YouTube channel, and at 7 p.m. on Sundays. You can check him out there as well. Then on Sunday nights, we got Late Night with Lamb Nevity with with Dwayne Martin, with not DJ Sullivan, Charles Moore, with our girl Rosanda and all them. They on doing their thing at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on Late Night with Lamb Nevity, and they're giving you all the information in media, in sports, in entertainment, and other hot topics. Then on Monday night, you can catch our guy, Lee Black, and myself, Devin Devine, and the host, Brendan Haynes, on TFG tonight at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube. Make sure you go to that channel and subscribe to TFG tonight. Then on Tuesday nights, you can catch me. I know most of y'all don't like sports, but hey, you can at least come in there and say hi 2 minutes on Tuesday nights at 6:30 p.m. TFG Sports Media with your boy, your sports guy. Catch me 6:30 to 7. Again, you can just say, hey, Kendrick, I'm gone. Good to see you. And I'm giving it to you the hot takes in sports, giving it to you straight with no chaser. So again, that's all the shows. Come check us out, TFG TV on YouTube and on Facebook, and then all the other channels we got going. So there you have it. I'm out. Back to you, Brother Black.
Magnificent. And so as I
Kenny
close,
need to be sorry, brother. Kenny need to be at that sports table with Charles Barkley and you
I
got a good
really,
brisket.
I really
that's why
want to. I
I was
really
doing it.
do, and I want to fuss because I will argue. I will
That's
argue
why
to the
that's why I
truth.
love him closing
Yeah,
us
because
out.
I really do want to be there. One day I'm gonna be there too, Sherry. We're gonna
There
speak
you go.
that into
Yeah.
existence. Actually, you know what? Nah, we're gonna make TFG we're gonna be big. So
Our own,
I'm gonna be right
that's
here.
the goal. And so that's why I want to say we're on the backside of our weeks, folks. And so whether you came in and caught us live tonight, for all of my viewers, friends, family, and even my few haters out there, when you
Yeah.
peek in and you check this show out, it ain't gonna kill you to hit like, make a comment. And I don't give a damn whether it be a negative comment. Share the show and subscribe to the channel. Stop being haters all your goddamn life and do something good and positive. We
Especially
still
on
need
420.
viewers.
Woo-hoo.
Exactly. So I'm telling you, and even for my loyal viewers, we still need your support. So instead of just popping in and catching snippets of it and moving forward, like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Some of you still haven't done that. You still haven't told your friends and families to do that. We have to support each other more. It doesn't cost you a thing.
Right.
If you can log in for the countless hours of foolishness and fuckery, I'm just asking you to subscribe and to share the channel. Please, we need your support. It ain't gonna take you but a few minutes. So until then, we'll see you on the other side. Always, as always, keep it raw, keep it real. God bless, and everybody have a great rest of their week.